It's Joe with OutOfThisBinary. Welcome to the weekend, you made it. We made it. Everybody, we made it. It's Saturday, the world is still spinning, planets are still turning, the sun hasn't exploded, everything's fine. Also, it's cloudy today, so it's chilly, so I'm taking advantage and wearing my carrot onesie. Also because internalized transphobia is hard to talk about and uncomfortable. Hi birds. And it will be easier wearing a carrot onesie. Believe me. Birds think so too. So let's talk about this. Transphobia, for those who don't know, is basically I need to look that up. Hang on. I can't look it up. I don't have the internet and I'm running low on data, so there's a hummingbird. Anyways, transphobia, you guys know, you all know what this is. Transphobia is the thoughts, feelings, expressions of people and society at large against trans people. So it's things like making gendered bathrooms is transphobic, and not allowing transgender people to change their name, or not respecting their chosen pronouns, their real pronouns. So internalized transphobia, I've also cut my hair. Don't freak out, it's change. Change is rough, we're gonna make it. Internalized transphobia is these thoughts and feelings inside of yourself towards trans people, and as a trans person, like, I have internalized transphobia against that, like, these thoughts about how it's like regulating my gender and my gender expression, and yeah. So for example, I I'll be thinking about like past memories or current memories and I'll misgender myself. I'll use like my old pronouns that were assigned to me, and that is a form of transphobia because it's not respecting my own pronouns. Even though it's like an accident and it's my mistake, it's like, it's transphobic. It's transphobia because it's still an act again of like, it's like an act of violence against myself, not like physical violence, but emotional violence. And these things are like ingrained into us from birth. So everybody has internalized transphobia. Everybody is transphobic, unless you very particularly work on that, I guess. So another example of what will happen to me, and other people have talked about this, is just like lots of little things like, oh, you're not trans enough because you're not medically transitioned, and I'm not sure I ever will medically transition, or because I don't want to pass as a boy because I'm non-binary and I'm not a boy or a girl. Sometimes that makes me wonder if makes me tell myself that I'm not trans enough. And none of these things are true, because as a trans person, like, I define trans doesn't define me. And that is something that I use to combat transphobia, is whenever I'm trying to tell myself about like, oh, you're not trans because, or sometimes I'll be like, it's ridiculous that you're trying to make people use they and them pronouns. You should just go back to she and her pronouns. No, that's internalized transphobia. And I define trans doesn't define me, so I get to say what it is to be trans. And that will help me, like, I guess, take control back in my brain of like, I'm in charge here, I run the show, not the show running me. Internalized transphobia, I think, can also be seen in like patterns of isolation. My patterns of isolation particularly are not always from transphobia, but sometimes I will have beliefs about myself that like I don't deserve to be around people because I'm too complex. It'll be like, I don't want to deal with me being complex, but it's really that I don't want to deal with other people dealing with me being complex. That is its own form of transphobia, internalized transphobia. It's me deciding that like I don't deserve the same things as other people because I am trans. That's a hard one, because that's a hard one. I am not entirely sure how to combat that. Well, the best way I found is by finding other trans non-binary people, other people who are similar to me, who have the same, who understand what it is to be trans and non-binary. Like anytime I watch an Out of This Binary video by one of the other members, I'm like, my internalized transphobia goes way down, because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just like everybody else. I mean, I'm not like everybody else, but when I hang out, when I see YouTube videos or read Tumblr posts by other trans non-binary people, I'm like, I am like all of these people. And that like validates me, makes me remember that I'm a real person, that I can decide my own identity and it can be just as valid as anybody else's identity. Did I miss a big spot? Oh my god, look at that. Gotta work on this, see? I'm gonna have to go back to the clippers. So yeah, my strategies are I define trans doesn't define me, and connect with other trans non-binary people, because we're all battling internalized transphobia and we can do it together. I find too, like, transphobia will come how like it happens when I'm talking really nasty to myself in my head, like and I don't do this as often as I used to, but it still happens where I like just say mean things to me. And so if I notice that I'm doing that, like stopping, like whatever I'm doing, standing entirely still, taking very deep breaths, and calling myself nice things like sweetheart. I'll be like, sweetheart, you don't need to talk to yourself like that. Or, Joe darling, you're okay, you're a valid person, you don't need to be mean to yourself. So yeah, I guess it's like trying to replace internalized voices that are transphobic with my own internalized voice of kindness and validation. And that's how I handle internalized transphobia. We still would we need more topic ideas. We need them all the time. So if you have any ideas for topics, we'd love to hear them. We also are still looking for new members. If you want to apply to Out of This Binary, there will be a link below, I think. Yes, I will find that. And that's all. Have a lovely weekend. I will see you next weekend. Bye.